Texas State joins the Pac-12. It's a huge news day for both Texas State and the Pac-12, so we're back on the Big Mountain with two very special guests. Welcome back to the Big Mountain. I am JY. This is my good friend Steve, and as Steve said, a huge news day for the Pac-12 as they get their 8th full football member here with Texas State University, a school we have followed very closely on the mountain. I thought this day was going to come, and here we are, June 30th. It is finally here. We are bringing in the president of Texas State, Kelly Damphousse, and the AD of Texas State, Don Coryell, for a very special discussion with them. So let's get right into it. And with us here on the Big Mountain, we have President Kelly Damphousse and AD Don Coryell with Texas State University. A huge day for the Bobcats. Welcome to the Big Mountain.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
That's great. As soon as Don joined us here on the call, I heard that voice and I said, I know that voice really well from just about a month or so ago. Appreciate you, Don, for taking some time and showing me around here.
Is it the Texas twang? Is it the Texas twang? Is that why it was so recognizable? Because you were off camera. You knew it was me.
It's just, I don't know what it was. I just knew it was you. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I enjoyed meeting you a few weeks ago.
Well, thank you. Obviously action was taken here this morning by the Board of Regents. And then it was announced here at 12 p.m. Central Time that Texas State University is going to be joining the Pac-12 Conference on July 1st, 2026. Congratulations to this historic day for Texas State University. A really exciting time. Can you just tell us what it means? Would love to hear from both of you. What it means for the university as a whole, for the alumni, the fans, and for the town of San Marcos, an awesome town that I got to visit not too long ago.
I'll start. I'll kind of give like a newcomer's perspective, and then I'll let Don give you the old timers perspective. No offense, Don, but you've been here a lot longer than I have. And so, when I was applying for this job, the team that was serving as a search committee met with people, fans, students, alumni across the country, across the state, and said, "What are you guys looking for the next president?" And there was basically there were 6 bullet points that kind of described what they wanted the next president to do, and one of them was to raise the national profile for the university. And the last bullet point, the very last bullet point, says a president who recognizes the importance of athletics for a university. And when I met with the search committee, I said, my experience is that if we can raise the profile of athletics, we can raise the profile of the university quicker than we do anything. And we're going to work hard on student success. We're going to work hard on recruiting students to come here. By the way, 60,000 high school seniors in Texas applied to come to Texas State this fall. And those numbers are astronomical. This will be the 4th year in a row with record-sized freshman class. Our enrollment's over 40,000. We're a huge university, 24th largest undergraduate university in the country. We'll be an R1 institution. We already operate like an R1 institution, but by 2027, we'll actually be an R1 institution. So academically, research-wise, enrollment-wise, we're already in great shape. This is a great university. And this is the end of my 3rd year. Tomorrow is the beginning of my 4th year here. And my concern, I think the concern of most people when I came, was that people just didn't know who we were. And I think that even within the state, but especially nationally and internationally, people didn't know about Texas State. And to be honest, until I started digging in as an applicant, I confess I didn't know much about Texas State either. And so from an outsider, I thought, what can we do to fulfill that mission of raising our national profile? And so we focused on athletics in general and football in particular to get us to where we are. And I think the overwhelming response from our fans, from our alumni, I haven't been able to keep up with social media today. You mentioned some stuff. I don't even know what's out there right now because I've been answering emails and text messages and phone calls from people. The overwhelming response has been positive. In fact, so far, nobody negative. Not yet. That'll come in good time, I'm sure. But people are excited, and I think there's a level of pride. Someone said, I remember being a student there as a young person, and I look back and I never imagined a day like today would happen. And I think, we get kind of jaded. We do this business, we're so involved in it, day-to-day routine. But this, I think from my perspective, it's big, but I think from people who've been here for a long time, it's even bigger. And I'll pass it off to Don that he can talk about this. I'll tell him he met with his staff and he let me talk to them on Zoom. He turned the phone around and David Bailiff was there. And David was our coach back in the day. And David's been here for a long time. And I got really emotional seeing him there because I know that he understands what this means for Texas State. But Donnie's been here for a long time. And he's the architect of putting our athletics department in this position. We wouldn't be here without him, and so I'm happy for him to give a perspective on athletics, but also as an old timer.
Yeah, how as an old timer, I think I have been here a long time. A lot of our staff has been here a long time. We've got a lot of coaches that have been here a long time, and I think it speaks to how great of a place this is. But I think we've all been chasing the same thing, and our fans have too. We've been kind of chasing our potential, right? And I think we all knew, this is such a wonderful university and what it offers and where we could be, and we just hadn't quite gotten there. And I think we're starting to realize that potential. You hear sleeping giant a lot, right? Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Maybe you're not living up to your expectations, and that's why you're a sleeping giant. But I think we've turned the corner. This is a massive day for us, right? To join a conference like the Pac-12. To be able to compete at the highest level. This is a top 5 league, right? In men's basketball. It's going to be a top 5 league in football. From a national visibility standpoint, it's going to give us exposure we haven't had before. It's going to elevate our recruiting. It's a financial gain for us. And then just the excitement of our fans, which is what we're talking about right now. It's a whole nother level. Kelly hasn't gotten on social media yet today. I haven't either. Same situation. My phone is through the roof. It's on fire right now. Emails are coming in left and right. But even just the speculation, we knew that the interest is at an all-time high. This has been going on for several months now and really heated up over the past few weeks. And the outreach from our fans, I've said this a couple of times. We think this is going to be a launch pad for Texas State. We really do. And there's no telling where we're going to end.
Well, you mentioned the exposure for Texas State. I think the exposure for the Pac-12 going into this new iteration of the Pac-12 is huge. Having a member within the state of Texas, the state Steve and I talk a lot about here on the Big Mountain for different conferences looking to maybe add schools. So I think maybe the feeling there or the benefit there could be mutual to all parties. I want to talk a little bit more maybe about your university and what it brings to the Pac-12, and what maybe Pac-12 fans should be excited about. I was on site, as we mentioned, saw your facilities firsthand. Absolutely phenomenal. But I guess my question is, can you speak to the Pac-12 fans? You're the new member coming in, and just tell them what's there to be excited about with Texas State, the city, the town of San Marcos, and why you feel like this is going to be a great fit for both sides.
I'll start a little bit and let Donnie pass it on as well.
I'll jump in next.
Yeah, I jump in next. So first off, you mentioned San Marcos. This is an incredible town. We're right between Austin and San Antonio. You can fly into Austin or fly into San Antonio. Both those cities are incredible. This area will have 8.5 million people living here. It'll be the next big metroplex in America as those two cities move together. And we are smack dab in the middle of it. We're in what's called the Hill Country. So from the Gulf of America to San Marcos, it's plains. The San Marcos River is the beginning of the Hill Country. And so from here on out, Texas State is sitting on the first hill in the Hill Country. We're a school that's 126 years old. We graduated, the only president that graduated from a Texas university is Lyndon Baines Johnson. So he's one of our alumni. We also graduated a king, George Strait, the king of country music, is one of our alumni. And Taylor Sheridan, you may have heard of him, Powers Booth. A lot of great actors have come through our fine theater program. By the way, our theater program was just ranked number 22 in the world, and we're top 5 in the country. And so We've got a great theater program. We've got a great business program. 95% of our students come from the state of Texas, but because of our success of our athletics programs, I think we're drawing more and more students from out of state and international. We've tripled the number of international students the past couple of years, and double the number of applications from out of state in the past couple of years as well. So we're a growing university in a beautiful town, and I think that there's a great history here and a great respect for what universities do, and that is to create life-changing opportunities for young people. I'm a first-generation college student. My mom went to grade 9, my dad went to grade 12, and I got the opportunity to go to community college and get a 2-year degree. I was a prison guard for a while. Then I went back to school. I went to a school called Damphousse State and got my criminal justice degree. And that getting that degree changed my life. And I also met my wife there, and so that changed my life even in many more ways. But we think for the past 126 years, we've been changing the lives of people that come here. And what we do is almost immeasurable for the young people for the longest time, mostly Texans, but now more and more people through other opportunities that we can provide to them. And athletics is a big part of that because it shines a light on the university and allows me to talk about the university to people who wouldn't listen to me otherwise. I mean, if we didn't have a great athletics program, I wouldn't be on your podcast today, right? So it really allows me to talk about all the things that are going on here that are so great. We graduate more teachers than any other university in the world. More future Texas teachers graduate from Texas State than any other university in the world as well. So great alumni support. Our endowment is huge. We've got a lot of support from the state government for our research profile. And so we're excited and ready to go, and athletics is a big part of that. So, Donnie?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a lot of it. You started off with San Marcos right off the bat. Voted best college town in Texas in almost any poll you can find, right? It's an unbelievable place. I can tell you, if you don't know much about us, we're ready to invest in athletics. You know, the vision is that athletics can drive the brand here. We're serious about it. We're getting behind it, and we're going to invest at a really high level. Texas is a recruiting hotbed. You know, I think that's appealing for these Pac-12 institutions. They're going to be able to come into the state of Texas and talk about how they're playing games in the state now. The Texas High School Football Coaches Association headquarters are 2 miles from campus. They're great partners of ours, and you know that's a nice network to possibly tap into. Our success in our sports, right? I mean, comprehensively, we're really good. You know, we've won the Sun Belt Conference Commissioners Cup 3 out of the past 4 years, 4 out of the past 7. Across the board, we do really well. Our coaches and student athletes work really hard. And then we've got a football program that's just on the rise. You know, our head coach, G.J. Kenny's done an outstanding job. We're breaking all kinds of attendance records. We're breaking all kinds of viewership records. We're going to bowl games and setting bowl game attendance records over the past 2 years. So the momentum that we have as a department is at an all-time high, and this move is going to be the launch pad that takes us even further. So a lot of really good things, you know, going on here at Texas State. And I can't wait to host these other schools and to host their fans because they're going to get to see it firsthand. Jason, you got to see it a few weeks ago. It's a beautiful, unique place. And we're so excited about showing it off to a much larger national audience.
Well, quick follow-up question for you, gentlemen. It kind of touches on some of the things you've been talking about. I want to just talk about the timing and the excitement of the buildup to this announcement. I am convinced, you know, I said this off air. I'm pretty sure JY was the first person at the national level, at least that I'm aware of, that pegged you guys as maybe the number one contender for the next addition to the pack. And ever since he did that, we have been inundated with Texas State fans. They've been excited watching our show, commenting, asking us if we've heard anything. So I just want your quick thoughts or impressions on the timing, you know, with everything going on right now with the House settlement, and we're kind of moving to a new age of college football. And you know, you guys we're negotiating this entrance into the pack, and your fans were excited, chomping at the bit. So how hard was it to, you know, while you saw this going on, not say anything publicly, but get the deal done and get the move to the Pac-12 solidified?
Well, I'll let Don talk about the nuts and bolts about the House settlement because that the timing of that, and really the complication of the transfer portal and NIL, the House settlement. There's a lot of change happening in athletics, and by the way, that means the House settlement allows the university to invest in a way we couldn't before, and so that really aligned really well with our plan of what we're doing. But really, this goes back to a conversation Don and I had in July when the PAC announced that they were going to try to rebuild. And we thought, do we have a chance for this? And then when the announcement was made to add the four Mountain West schools, and then later Gonzaga, then the fifth Mountain West school, that opened up a couple opportunities. So is there a slot? There was one slot left in the PAC at 12. And then, there's options in other conferences as well that, we're thinking about what's out there. The motivation for making a change isn't any unhappiness with the Sun Belt. I'm the third longest serving board member on the board of directors of Sun Belt. I love that school. I was a president during realignment in 2021. We brought in four great schools, worked really hard to build that conference up. But the opportunity to increase our revenue is part of it. But more importantly, increase our profile was a huge opportunity as well. So we're weighing all those things, and then the dance begins because there's no application process. If there was, everyone would be applying all the time. It becomes a series of conversations with people. And so I reached out to commissioners, then I reached out to presidents and chancellors, and some of them I knew from, from my, I'm very involved with the NCAA and APLU and ASCU and so on. So I know a lot of people, but some of them I didn't know. So I was just making cold calls to people and say, hey, can I spend 15 minutes telling you about Texas State? Because unfortunately, a lot of people didn't know about us and about, what we have to offer. And then, Don was doing the same thing with athletics directors. Presidents make the decisions, but they lean on the athletics directors and the coaches to make an informed decision. So Don's doing the same thing on his side. And really, that dance between us and conferences lasts through March and April and May. And at the same time, the Pac-12 was telling us and telling everyone who would listen, I don't think people believed them, but they really wanted to get their media deal straightened out before they invited the eighth football playing member. And that's the message they gave to us. And you're right, we couldn't say anything to anybody about anything. And so, but we wanted to make sure that people knew we're in the game, right? So we're you know letting people know that we're working, but we're not able to say very much. And the closer we got to the end, the less we could say, because then you have non-disclosure agreements and so on. But as Don said, the last couple of weeks things got really heavy, and finally we're able to come to an agreement like Thursday. And so it happened really late in this whole process, which meant Thursday night we had an agreement in place. Friday morning we scheduled a meeting. We had the board meeting on Monday, and then make the announcement at noon. So really, in the space of about 4 days, 4 days leading up to Thursday, and then 4 days after Thursday, that's when everything kind of happened at the end. It's like there's an old saying. Someone asked Ernest Hemingway, "How did you go bankrupt?" He said, "Gradually and then suddenly."
Yes, yes. Awesome. Good stuff.
Donnie, you want to talk about ADs?
Yeah, I'll probably just add that, kind of why now and why is this important now? I think this is the best opportunity for us to be successful with what we think is going to be the future of college athletics, right? We think this is the best path to the college football playoffs. This is a financial gain for us. I expect our season tickets to increase. I expect our donations to increase. I expect our capital gifts to increase. And what that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to fund more in the revenue share space. That's a really important piece moving forward, one of the most important pieces. So that's all driven by revenue. And I think that in the transfer world, this move is going to help us retain our student athletes. I can tell you, because I've had conversations with them today, they are beyond excited to compete in the Pac-12, 2 years from now. And those student athletes who maybe were your all conference athletes, and we see that now, if you're a first team all conference guy, you might be out of here. I think we'll be able to hang on to those student athletes because of the level of competition. You can't get much higher than where we're going, and so I think that's going to be really helpful for us. And then we do need to invest more in our men's and women's basketball programs. It's going to be really important moving forward. And so to join a league like this, we know we're going to have to do that. And I think just by association, we're going to get better immediately because we're going to be able to recruit a different type of kid, and we're going to put the resources behind it, similar to like we did with football over the past few years. So it's just a great move for us across the board.
Well, appreciate you both being with us. I know we are live on X right now while we're also recording a pod. So for those of you that are on X, we are here with President Damphousse and AD Coryell with Texas State University. I have one more follow-up, I guess, to Kelly here, and then I want to talk about travel real quick with Don. I know you guys are super busy, so we'll try to keep these last couple short because I know obviously you have a lot going on here today. But I appreciated kind of, and I think that's Steve's question, and Kelly, your response is about as much as fans are going to see behind that curtain in terms of the process. I appreciate your comments there. Do you have any idea of what your involvement's going to be here kind of the year before July 1st, 2026? Obviously, July 1st, 25 is tomorrow, so you have this year that you're going to, kind of wait, if you will. Have they given you any inclination of what this next year will look like?
Yeah, not really, because we're so fresh in this. I will tell you, I feel a little bit like the dog that catches the car, right? I got a big bumper on my mouth, and now I got to know what to do with it. And so, I think that the thing that is exciting about this is that we're starting something really new. It's almost like building a new conference. And I've gotten to know some of the presidents and chancellors over the past year. Several of them, I haven't even had a chance to text them back yet. They've been reaching out to me, and I'm excited about getting to actually meet them in person. The ones I haven't met, I've only talked to on the phone, and actually start the work of building this. And the athletics directors have the same thing. They got to create bylaws and how they're going to schedule conference games and so on. And it's hard to change, but it's not very hard to build. Because if you got something in place, you have to stop doing this and start doing something else. That's really hard. But when you get a blank slate, like we kind of have now, we can actually rethink and do things better and more efficiently. Things that save a little bit of money that allow us to redirect that money in different places. I'm also a member of the Sun Belt Conference, and so we'll be, still actively involved there as well for the last year. That will wind down over time, and they've got business to conduct without me being in the room, and so I want to respect that. I've been involved in those situations before, and so, but this next year is going to be really hard, but it's going to be really fun as well. And I can't wait for Canada Day 2026 because that's day one of this new era for Texas State athletics and for Texas State as a whole. Now, Donnie, Steve's got a great question about travel. I think a lot of people have questions about travel. You might want to just jump into that.
Yeah, real quick, I guess, you guys are the furthest west in the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
You're going to become the furthest east in the PAC now. So maybe it's not that big of a difference, but I'd love to hear from you what you're kind of thinking there about travel and if it is that big of a deal.
We don't think it'll be that big of a difference. There's a chance it's going to be more expensive. There's no doubt about that. We're going to have to charter more, but we think it actually might be a little bit better when you kind of start looking at things. So right now, we'll bus to Lafayette, Louisiana. We'll bus to Monroe, Louisiana. We'll bus to Mobile. We'll bus to Hattiesburg. I mean, you're talking 7 to 8 to 9 hours in some of those instances. So just that alone, the move eliminates bus trips, right? So now you're talking about flying into locations like Fresno or Boise or San Diego State or Gonzaga, where your international airports are within 10 miles of campus. And so there is more of a convenience there. It's going to cost more. But even in the Sun Belt, there's some really challenging trips once you fly into those locations. You fly into Charlotte to go to Boone, North Carolina, you got, a 3-hour drive potentially. You fly into Washington, D.C. to go to JMU, and it's 3 hours. You're flying into, I think it's like Columbus, Ohio to get to Marshall, and it's a several-hour drive. So there's some really challenging drives after flights in the Sun Belt. So we're used to it. We're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to charter more because of the time zone change. We're going to have to get, teams back as quick as we can for maybe, late Saturday night games or Sunday baseball and softball series, whatever it happens to look like. But we're used to it. But again, it could potentially improve some in some of the unknowns. Is what do some of our conference schedules look like at this point, right? Because obviously there's less teams in this league than there are in the Sun Belt Conference. How many conference baseball games are we going to play? How many conference softball games are we going to play? We don't know the answer to that at this point. But if it's less, that'll give us the opportunity to potentially schedule some non-conference games, maybe that are more regionally in state, which will be easier travel. So we're looking at it as maybe an opportunity. We'll see.
Yeah. Anything else, Steve?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see you guys traveling up to Corvallis and Pullman, Washington, and all those places and seeing those teams. I think it was President Damphousse Kelly. You said about I thought it was really interesting. You said about you're creating something new, and all the talk has been about rebuilding the PAC. To me, I really look at it as you guys are building a new conference, and it's so exciting. We kind of adopted the Beavs and the Cougs, and JY is so familiar with the Mountain West teams that are moving over to the PAC. This new conference, to me, is just super exciting. And, we said all along, you had to get in Texas. They had to get in Texas. And so, adding Texas State, just super exciting for the Pac-12. I don't have a question. I'm just excited.
Well, if you're
go ahead.
You're a sports fan, you're excited about it,
For sure. Well, guys, you've given us plenty of your time. I thank you. I know our Bobcat and Pac-12 fan dwellers, thank you. I know you have a very busy day, but really appreciate the time you gave us here on the Big Mountain.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having us.
Yep. Have a great one.
And I've loved watching your podcast. It's been very informative, and I thought you guys did a really good job of describing the process as well as you could understand it from afar. And I thought you provide a really good service for all the fans who are trying to follow along. So I've enjoyed it. I'll keep watching.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much. We'll keep following you and following the PAC as well. So really appreciate those comments. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, gentlemen.
What an awesome discussion there with President Damphousse and AD Coryell. Steve, what are your thoughts?
I mean, just two open, honest, transparent gentlemen. Yeah. They told us to call us by their first name. So Don and Kelly,
that's right.
Just awesome dudes. Again, very, very transparent to this process. I was really excited about the kind of the peek behind the curtains they gave us about the process.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very cool. I tried to be careful when I asked that question. I don't want to dig too much.
Yep.
But they did a great job of just explaining it to us. It kind of confirmed some things that we had been hearing before.
Yep.
So just a great interview overall. Loved how open and transparent they were. And I'm just excited, about this new conference, what I think of as a new conference and their part in it. I think it's going to be pretty cool, pretty exciting. So I'm excited for Texas State and all their fans.
Well, you brought up the point. It's not really a rebuild; it's a reconstruction.
Yeah.
Very much going to be a new conference. Right. Not just members, but everything about it really is going to be a new conference and some excitement there for all of those fan bases. I want to give a shout out though to Don because Kelly had mentioned about how long Don had been there. I just want to remind everyone he started when he was in first grade, so he's not really that old. But no, Don has been there for quite a while. And as I said, I was able to meet with him here just about a month or so ago. Fantastic campus. He showed me around. Really happy for him. His athletic department, they're the ones that have really been at this for so long. And I think they also mentioned just how, they really didn't feel like their name was getting out there. For whatever the case may be, sleeping giant, why are we sleeping type of things. They're certainly not sleeping anymore. Today is a huge day for this university. I know their fans are super excited for this, as am I.
Yeah, same thing. A couple things jumped out at me. You talked about they were trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
I think it was 24th largest is a public university in the country, which is huge.
Huge, yeah.
And then also they're going to be getting R1 status here. We talk about AAU and all these things with the Big Ten. I mean, just having that R1 status really puts you on the map as a research university.
Yeah.
So, we have this is a large public research university, joining the Pac-12. Great fit, gets them in Texas. So, just real exciting. And then my last thought is, we always talk about the decision makers versus the ones who have to get things done.
Yeah.
And I thought this interview really showed that. You have President Damphousse is talking about his strategic vision for the university and how athletics helps the university get there.
Yes.
And then you have Don. He's been there forever. He's the athletic director. He has to make things work. And he talked to us about the logistics of being in the Sun Belt now,
right,
and how it's going to be different moving to the PAC. And, he has to make the trains run on time. He has to get those kids, because they are still student athletes,
yeah,
especially in like other sports other than football. He has to get those kids to these places, have them participate in their sports, and then get them back for classes,
right,
prior to Monday morning. So it was great to hear those two different perspectives and see, what we've been talking about, the deciders and the people who have to make things happen.
Sure. Well, and I also think, we talked about a win-win here. It gets the PAC into the state of Texas. Again, we've talked about that a lot. Also gets the Texas into state of Texas into the PAC.
Absolutely.
So I think it's an absolute win-win for both sides of this. And I can't thank both Kelly and Don enough. I know Kelly had said, I think we were the first interview that they did outside of the Texas reporting realm. So again, thank them so much for coming on. We will continue to follow Texas State. We will continue to follow the Pac-12 as they move forward in their rebuild, reconstruction, whatever you want to call it. So thank them again. Hey, make sure you like this episode, subscribe if you like our content, and we'll see you next time on The Big Mountain.